Are there bad coaches? Are there guys that got one of these 32 jobs that just aren't good?
There are absolutely. There's people, I think, believe that coaching in the NFL is a commodity of greatness, and it's not. There are some that are great and some that are. It's like anything else. It's like think about quarterback play in the NFL. To me, it likens that. Like, you've got some great ones and you've got some really not so great ones, and you don't have 32 great ones. There's no question about that. And then coaching quarterbacks, which is my line of work, I'm going to say that there's half the places in the league I wouldn't want to play as a quarterback. So,
would the Jets be one of those places?
No, that's what I'm saying. I like where I hate to say it, 1-4, but I like it. The guys that I know they're coaching, I like what they have. It's just but then again, it's an up or out business, and you either do it or you face the music. And so I'm not saying they're not going to face the music, but if you ask me just intuitively, what do I like it? I like it. And I can't say much about it other than that right now, because it's certainly nothing much to like.
But what is it that you like?
They have pieces of leadership. They have pieces of the offensive defensive line. They've got players. They've got, they're not just a bunch of guys. I feel like they have a decent chemistry, leadership, things that I look for. And that's why I'm disappointed. I'm sure that's why Coach is disappointed. It's like, we thought we were more, and you're not. So then what's the truth? And I think the truth will be that we're a work in progress, and it might be worth investing long-term in this group. Now, right now, that sounds crazy. But, again, give me a week or two, and then I'm way off, or, hey, you might have a chance there. So
we're talking with Steve Young here on the Michael K. Show. Now, Steve, what we wanted to ask you, because we talk to Todd every Monday when they play on Sunday. We'll talk next Tuesday, but because they play on Monday, and you'll be there. And we get frustrated, and Jet fans get frustrated because you're not throwing anybody under the bus. Whenever you talk to a coach, and when we have players on, it doesn't seem like they're being very forthright. Now, we always joke, but we really truly believe it, that you're a great, great interviewer. You're fun to have on. And Don brought this up. Were you this open as a player? Are you allowed to be open as a player?
I wasn't, just because the job is really hard. To me, it takes every ounce of every bit of you, and that's why people, for me, that's why I didn't want to leave it. That's why I wished I could have played it for a lot longer, because you love how much it takes of you. It's like, and so when you get on the radio or the TV to talk about what you're trying to do, which is incredibly hard, you don't want to make it any harder by what you say, what you do. It's like, it's already, and that's why I say for other players, when you're on the field, don't do anything that makes your game, you're doing your job harder, whether it's off the field, whether it's on the field, whether it's tweets, don't do anything that already makes a very, very complex thing more complex. Now, when you're out of the game, you don't have that rigor that you're having to face, and so my job's not being made more difficult by having a more direct conversation. And
so interviewing athletes is ridiculous.
Not ridiculous. It's fun. You got to pick and choose your spots. You're going to get some that are better than others to give you a little something. And inevitably it's the long snapper and the punter who are the greatest interviews, right? Because I don't know what it is about that. But you got to. But the reason is not because for a cheap reason. The reason is because it is an incredibly intense job. That the average career is 3 years, and everybody's close to being on their way out, and everybody feels that. And so there's no winning on the radio. There's no winning on TV. Now you're showing your personality, showing that you care, showing that you take responsibility and accountability when the time's right. People respond to that. But as far as entertainment, if you can entertain while you're playing, hey, more power to you. I couldn't do that.
The Giants lose in Green Bay, and I guess there's no shame in losing in Lambeau, no shame in losing in Minnesota. That Viking team looks like they're the best team in the league. But watching Eli, and it's been a tough year for him, it looks, and I don't want to say skittish or scared because I've seen this guy take a beating, but he clearly doesn't have faith in his offensive line. He can't have any faith in his running backs. These aren't even the two running backs he thought he'd have at the beginning of the season. But you played the position. Does he look like someone that's unsure about his protection, and do you think it's affecting his play?
I don't know exactly what it is, But my eye test is that he in Minnesota was really pretty obvious to me. He was late, and he was off, and so that's a sense of timing, and then that leads to not preparation, but just having a clear sense of what you're trying to accomplish. Because guys are open. Guys are needing the ball a little quicker, a little earlier, a little bit other shoulder, stuff that he's good at. And so it seems a little bit off. And I said that after the game. I go, he seems, Eli, you can misjudge Eli because, as I've mentioned before, that, Eli's just going to keep pedaling, and you're going to get a real steady player. And so, a big game, you're going to get steady play. A down, hard game, you're getting a steady player. And so when he's off, then you wonder, what is going on? Why is he – because he'll make mistakes, but just be late and on basic stuff. And you wonder, maybe it is that I'm afraid that I'm going to get hit and that gets in your head. And then, and so, Don, you might be onto something as trying to explain it.
Is it possible –
feels a little off.
Steve, is it possible that he's just on the other side of it and starting to turn a little bit? And then second to that, watching last night, is it possible? Is there any chance? It feels like we're going on 2 years straight now that Aaron Rodgers also hasn't quite looked like the same Aaron Rodgers. Do you see that at all?
A little bit, and he's got more help now too. And so there's I know where you're going. For Eli, it does get harder and harder in your mid-30s to get back to where you were. Roger Staub was the first one to tell me, when you hit 30, you have to double your effort every year, redouble it every year geometrically to stay close to what you were in your 20s. And so there's no question that but that doesn't mean that that's the reason. I'm just saying that's an obvious thing to go check. As far as Aaron, I've always said if he got help, he would be, they couldn't stop him. And just they're a little off. He's a little off, and I can't wait to see them. I don't know if I know we don't have a Monday night game in Green Bay, but I hope, I can't remember who their visiting teams going down the stretch here, but I hope Green Bay's one of them, because it really helps when I can stand there and watch somebody 60 feet away to try to make those kind of judgments.
John, with the great Steve Young here on the Michael Kay Show. Yesterday, I thought that the Giants went out of their way to target Odell Beckham Jr. almost too much, like force it to him, as if let's make nice so he can have fun. Did you sense that?
Yeah.
That's not good.
I know, but see, Odell, I think it's Thursday's interview where he said, look, I'm responsible. He changed the whole narrative. It wasn't really about this is me, take me how I am. He finally realized, geez, at the root of what I'm doing is selfish. No matter how, I'm competitive, I want to win. Yeah, we get that. But the outburst, mistimed, wrong spot, that's over-competitive and in the end selfish. And I think he realized that. So he wanted to make amends. And I think the team, rallied around that. People were relieved. And I felt like the locker room probably was like, yes. And so the coaches are like, he wants to be productive. Let's make sure he's productive. And so you can overdo that. And there's no question. If you're seeing it, Michael, and saying that, it's probably overdone, right?
Yeah.
Because you just can't make stuff happen. And the problem is, with Jerry Rice, there were times when Jerry wouldn't get the ball, and we're like, geez, we got to get him the ball. And Jerry always would say, look, throw me the ball, we'll win. He's like, you're probably right. But you've got it. But, Jerry did understand over time, and that's why Odell's just, he's still young. Over time, you get the ball, but you can't force it, because then it actually hurts you getting the ball in the long run. And that's why this outburst, and then all the attention, and then now yesterday overdoing it. It's all going to have to work through the system so everybody can get comfortable again. But the pieces to getting there are in place. Humble Odell, I want to go to work. I'm not going to make a scene. We want to get you the ball. We know that we trust you. They've learned a lot about each other. The team, the league. The team, the owner, the locker room. That was a rough little patch. They'll be better for it in the long run. But now you got to win. So, but I don't mind him overdoing it yesterday. But in a loss, it just doubles down on you, and that's why that's so. But I kind of expected it. I don't know how you felt about it.